안녕하세요, 여러분. Hi guys. Welcome to Learn Korean with Clara 쌤. Today, in this step, I'm going to tell you about how to make Korean basic sentences. You will see what the difference is compared to English. Some learners having their mother tongue with a different structure of sentences may have trouble at the beginning to get used to it. So I'll show you today some very simple examples on this topic in this video. There are always exceptions to the rules, so please be aware that there may be other varied cases, as I have already told you several times. How do you write the sentence in Korean? I am Yujin Kim. The translation is 저는 김유진이에요. In Korea, to say the full name of a person, we first put the family name and then the first name, unlike some other countries. The sentence in Korean begins with the subject 저, like in English, I. But unlike the English language, which normally determines the sentence according to the syntax, Korean is a language which expresses the function of words through particles or suffixes. For example, the role of particles after words is crucial because depending on them, the characteristic of the word is defined. That is, in a sentence where it is a subject or an object or a place, etc. By attaching after 저, the topic marking particle 는 represents the subject in this sentence. In this video, I won't go into the details of grammar. The purpose of this lesson is just to show you how to make Korean basic sentences. If you want to have more grammar details, you could check out my other videos on these topics. Okay, let's continue. 김유진이에요. First, the noun 김유진, and then the verb 이에요. Whereas in English, their order is the opposite. The verb first, and then the noun. Now we are going to see two simple sentences, one affirmative and the other negative. First, 저는 한국인이에요. In English, I'm a Korean. Both sentences begin with the subject. So far, it's in the same order, except that after 저, don't forget to put the topic marking particle 는 in the Korean sentence, as I've just explained right before. Then the noun 한국인 and the verb 이에요 at the end. While in English, the verb is before the noun. Before moving on, there are two important points to know. The first is that when you write sentences in Korean, you don't need to match the verb with its subject. While in English, the verb changes with the person, first, second, or third, and the singular or the plural. And the second point is that in the Korean language, there is no gender distinction, so it will always be 한국인 for the male name or the female name. In case of the negative sentence, the verb is also found at the end in Korean. 저는 한국인이 아니에요. The English translation is I'm not a Korean. 저 is a subject and 는 is a topic marking particle. 한국인 is a noun and after that another particle 이 which is a subject marking particle. And finally, the verb 아니에요 in its negative form. For more explanations on this topic, a video will be available soon. You can see the difference in the position of the noun and the verb in the English sentence. For the latter, the verb is located ahead of the noun, as the verb is placed at the end in Korean sentences, so between Koreans, we sometimes joke about it. Someone starts saying this sentence, 저는 한국인. Until the sentence is finished, it cannot be guessed whether it is the affirmative or negative sentence, because it can be 저는 한국인이에요 or 저는 한국인이 아니에요. So sometimes it becomes a subject of joke among Koreans because we make you believe that we were going to express an affirmative form, but eventually it could become the opposite at the end. This is why Koreans say always wait for a sentence to be finished. Let's now look at an example with an object in the Korean sentence. 그는 컴퓨터 게임을 좋아해요. The subject, 그, followed by the topic marking particle 는, then the object, computer game, followed by the object particle 을, comes just after the subject, unlike English, in which it is found after the verb likes, and finally the verb 좋아해요 comes at the end. While in English, the verb likes is located between the subject and the object. As you can see from this example, the object usually comes before the verb in Korean sentences. And if an adverb is added in a sentence, where will it go? Here is an example. 저는 한국 드라마를 자주 봐요. I often watch Korean dramas. In order, the subject 저 with the topic marking particle 는, the object 한국 드라마 with the particle 를, then the adverb 자주, which is also ahead of the verb 봐요. The adverb often is placed before the verb watch here, but it could be placed after the verb too. In English, the position of adverb is not always at the same position in the sentence. The last example is when a direct object and an indirect object are used in the same sentence. What would be the position of each of these two objects? 미나가 줄리에게 선물을 주었다. Mina has given a gift to Julie. The sentence in Korean begins with the subject Mina, just like in English, followed by the subject marking particle 가, then Julie, the person to whom Mina gave a gift, followed by the particle 에게. So 줄리에게 corresponds to Julie in English. It is an indirect object. Then 선물 with the particle 을, 선물을, is a direct object. The direct and indirect objects are always placed ahead of the verb in Korean. And we end the sentence with the verb as you know now. If we sum up, in Korean, the subject is at the beginning of the sentence as in English, but as for the verb, it comes at the end of the sentence. The direct object is placed ahead of the verb, unlike in English. That's all for today. It was a bit long for today's tip, but it's an interesting and important topic in order to move on to the next step. Hopefully this video has given you a better idea on how to make Korean basic sentences. I'll come back soon with other useful topics. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask it in the comment down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye. 다음에 또 만나요. 안녕.